I want.
It's Steven. I think you should be good now.
Okay, test. Yeah, all right. Starting over. I'm Rick Fernandez. I'm chair of the committee. Pleasure to meet you all. Some of you are new. And I look forward to the intros as we go around today. That is where we start our meetings. Again, Rick Fernandez, chair of the committee. My appointing authority is at-large Hispanic representative. Stephen.
Hey, everyone. Stephen Hollenkamp, appointed by the city of Plant City.
Joseph Citro, Commissioner Harricone.
Andrew Marquetti for Tampa.
Chris Gonzalez, member at large.
Clifford Reese, member at large.
Austin Bush, member at large.
Ivy Adams, member at large.
Justin Johnson, member at large.
Ed Majewski, appointed by THEA, the Expressway Authority.
Hey, Yasmin, appointed by the city of Temple Terrace.
Do we have some folks online?
We do. I will call your. Artie?
Yes, Artie Fryer. I represent the Transportation Disadvantage Coordinating Board.
Artie?
Stephen Jones.
Stephen, we're getting an echo. Guys, and two. It looks like you're on two devices and we're getting an echo from you, Stephen. Okay, I saw Chris Bella join. Chris, are you here?
Yes, I'm here online.
Thank you. It's a little quiet in the room. I'm gonna try to make it louder.
Is that it for the online assemblage? Got Artie Fryer, Stephen Jones, and Chris Vella?
Yes.
All right. Are you declaring a quorum, sir?
Yes, we have quorum.
Which, for those of you who are new, means we have 7 people plus in the room, which we have. So thank you very much for making the effort to be here today. Okay, call to order, introductions, public comment. Do we have anyone in the audience? Public comment. The audience. Public comment.
Stephen, I'm muting you because we're getting an echo. It looks like you're on twice.
I don't see anybody in the gallery for public comment. Is there anybody online for public comment?
Anyone online for public comment? I've seen no one online for public comment.
Okay. Chair's report. For starters, I want to first thank Stephen, our vice chair, for taking over the chair responsibilities from me in August. Appreciate it. I had a conflict, wasn't able to be here, and I'm sure the duties were ably carried out. I know that to be the case. So anyway, thank you. And you tell me that it was a blast. So
Yeah, it was great.
there it is. All right, you have to show me or tell me what you did different. Okay. It is our normal practice to report back to the committee the actions of the TPO board vis-a-vis recommendations that we had made. As you know, as maybe the new folks don't know, the CAC meeting is generally 1 week prior to the TPO board. We author recommendations to the TPO board, and this is our opportunity to report back to you what the board did. The CAC approved recommending that the TPO board accept the 2025 certification report and authorize TPO staff to address its recommendations. The TPO board acted accordingly. They accepted the report and authorized staff to address the recommendations. The CAC also approved recommending approval of the LRTP amendments to the TPO board. The TPO board did in fact approve those amendments. I want to report to you what happened in June. I would have told you this at the last meeting, but I wasn't here, and there was no one else that would have reported this. As you may recall, back in June was the time for the TIP public hearing, and also the hearing on the TPO priority list. We had full vetting of those items here and made recommendations to the TPO board. Among the recommendations made to the TPO board, I believe by the CAC, and if not by the CAC, I just don't remember how we voted on it. I think we recommended this. But if not, there were several people in the gallery during the public hearing arguing for removal of an item from the TPO priority list, that item being the expansion of Interstate 275 north of Hillsborough to Beers. It's an item that's been litigated here in this room several times over the course now of years. The TPO board did not go along with that argument. They kept the expansion of the interstate north of Hillsborough to Beers in the TPO priority list. The thing about the hearing that troubled me, not as a member of this committee, but as a member of the public, and that I'm reporting to you, because I think it's important that you know this and that you talk to your appointing authorities about it, if in fact you have one. That at the conclusion of that vote, the chair of the TPO board made a comment, something to the effect of, I wish the DOT would just go ahead and build the thing so that these folks would stop coming here to argue against it. That hit me like a ton of bricks, because I've been coming to that board to argue against that particular project now for near a decade, and many of us have. I found that to be a negative reflection on the board as a whole. Now, the chair of the TPO board is Andy Ross from Temple Terrace. I would hope that there might be some message communicated to Mayor Ross out of this committee, perhaps out of the Temple Terrace appointee. I've already made comment myself in public comment last month of how troubling that statement was. I didn't call anybody out, and I didn't do it on behalf of the committee. I did it myself as part of my personal public comment. But I thought it was inappropriate, and I thought it reflected negatively on the board, and frankly, I respect what the board does. I didn't respect that. So there it is. I intend personally to attend Temple Terrace Council or Commission. I don't know what Temple Terrace does. I intend to go personally. I may be able to draw some people out of my community in Tampa Heights to go with me and report to the council what happened. And if Mayor Ross is sitting in the gallery when I do that, which he probably will be, so be it. But folks need to understand that that is not doing a service to the neighborhoods of the core of Tampa. So that's it as far as that goes. But I wanted you to know I had done it, and I stand by it. I think that's it as far as the chair report. Any comments or questions about it? See none here. Any comments online?
See none?
Okay, that takes us into our first action item, which is approval of the minutes for August 6, 2025. The document is part of your backup agenda materials. Hopefully you've had a chance to review. Is there a motion to approve the August 6, 2025 minutes?
I motion to approve.
I see Mr. Johnson is moving to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And Mr. Citro moves. Mr. Citro offers a second. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Any discussion online?
Anyone?
All right. Well, by acclamation then, all in favor of the motion, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. I hear no negatives. Please note that as a unanimous approval. And thank you. That now takes us to action items. We're up to item 7 on our agenda, the 2025 roll forward TIP amendments. Elizabeth Watkins, how are you?
Great. Good evening, CAC.
Good to see you again. Have at it.
Back to you again with some more updates to the Transportation Improvement Program. This is a unique set of amendments that comes to you every August or every September to essentially align the Transportation Improvement Program with the FDOT work program. As you'll probably recall from our previous conversations, the work program and the transportation improvement program are inextricably linked. All the federally funded projects in the FDOT work program must also be in the transportation improvement program. So this diagram shows how those are aligned. But between the spring and October, the work program and the TIP kind of diverge and then have to reconverge through a roll forward amendment. So that is the purpose of this amendment for you today. It comes to you again every September, and the main purpose of it is to ensure consistency between these two documents. There are 39 projects within this amendment package, and they need to be rolled forward into the transportation improvement program, which will be effective October 1st. So in order for those projects to continue and seek federal authorization, this amendment is needed. This is a breakdown of the different projects in the roll forward amendment. Many of them are transit projects, followed by resurfacing, safety, capacity, signals, and planning projects, and then about 5 sort of various projects that don't fit nicely in a bucket. For the purpose of this discussion, there are a few acronyms that I'm using, so I want to cover those briefly. PE, of course, is preliminary engineering. That's the phase after planning or detailed engineering and design activities occur. CST means construction. When I identify something as a minor funding increase, that's $1 million or less. And when I say roll to the current year, that means the funding that was programmed in 25 is just being rolled forward to 26 and no change has been noted. So many of the projects, again, are transit, and really the reason behind that is the way that federal transportation funds are dispersed. So the Federal Highway Administration largely sends the lion's share of the money to state DOTs, hence why many of those are in the FDOT work program. And then the Federal Transit Administration sends funds to the transit agencies. So because this is the DOT work program, sometimes there's a lag. That's why you see many more transit projects in here, not because the projects are really changing, but just due to the nature of how these work programs are done. So the first 2 projects here are parts recurring federal funds that come to them by formula. 5307, which is primarily used for operating and capital expenses. And while the work program shows 125 million, it's really close to about $23 million annually. The reason that's a little bit overstated is just due to the DOT work program process, and it benefits HART by having multiple years in that first year. So if they needed to drag down 2 years, they could do it at one time without having to go through multiple steps. The 5339 is largely used for capital purposes, such as replacing buses or bus shelters. The third project here is the HART Resiliency Protect Grant. This was a $1 million federal discretionary grant that HART received to apply a roof coating over their heavy maintenance facility. And when I spoke with the project manager, he said he fully believes that this roof coating that was installed last May was the reason that the heavy maintenance facility didn't have extreme damage during the hurricanes last year. So it was a really important investment in the project. For all intents and purposes, complete. It was just being rolled forward for people purposes. HART has also won a few discretionary grants to focus on their capital program, so mostly their shelters. So they have about $10 million across 2 projects to do that. They also won a human trafficking innovations grant back in 2020, where they deployed a public awareness campaign about human trafficking right before that 2021 Super Bowl that was in Tampa. So this project also is complete and just being rolled forward for administrative purposes. The passenger ferry grant that HART that won a few years ago, that also needs to be rolled forward. You may have seen in the news that PSTA was seeking that grant to procure a ferry. I'm happy to report that FTA approved that transfer earlier this month, so those funds are continuing, will be put to good use in the Tampa Bay region. Hart also received something called 5310 funding, which supports part of their Hart Plus program, which is paratransit. So those services to disabled members of the community or others who have some sort of challenge can have direct door-to-door access to complete trips if they don't have access to a car. And this grant is primarily used to fund the yellow cab taxi service, because in order to book a Heart Plus trip, it has to be at least done a day in advance. So this grant enables Heart to have a partnership with the yellow cab to fulfill those emergency trips that can't be made. And then finally, another discretionary grant from Kathy Castor for $5 million for capital bus stop improvements. Another grant that's being rolled forward is an emergency relief grant for Heart's work during the response to Hurricane Ian in 2022. Those costs that grant can be used to reimburse the overtime that Heart staff incurred while responding to Hurricane Ian. And then the final transit project is to roll forward a $23 million bill grant that Heart won to complete their phase 1 of the heavy maintenance facility. And as you probably know, the heavy maintenance facility is by far Heart's #1 priority. They can't increase service without improving the heavy maintenance facility. And honestly, it's not in a great state. It floods, there's mold. So Heart has made its priority in partnership with many organizations to help get this facility the upgrade that it needs. So this bill grant that's being rolled forward is funding phase 1, which will construct a new service facility to include CNG, unleaded diesel fueling stations, as well as a bus wash and fare box coding and crash retrieval systems. Now I'm going to segue to a different project, resurfacing. So these resurfacings cover all areas of Hillsborough County. This first one from US 41 to west of 40th to 40th, 50th, and 40th Street. That's in the East Tampa area. PE is programmed in 26 and construction is expected to start in 2028. Then going a little bit east to the Dover area, MLK Junior Boulevard from Gallagher to Oak Brook Lane has PE in 26 and construction is programmed for fiscal year 27. Then there is a facility, Washington Street, between the Salmon Expressway and the Bypass Canal. This is a project funded by an appropriation that the city of Tampa is going to be delivering, and that project is continuing to roll forward until it can be constructed. And then finally, in the town and country area, Hillsborough Avenue from Lagoon to Benjamin has a funding program for PE and fiscal year 26. And the final 2 resurfacing projects are one in Brandon, State Route 60 from Kelsey Lane to west of Lane Place. PE is programmed in fiscal year 26. Now we'll spend a little bit more time talking about the investments that DOT is making along Tampa Street and Florida Avenue corridor. So this is the schematic showing the first project of Tampa Street and Florida Avenue. A little bit north of downtown, where DOT will be resurfacing the roadway, upgrading some of the drainage infrastructure, and doing a lot of great pedestrian improvements, including relocating the curb line to the east side of Tampa Street in order to widen the sidewalks, improve pedestrian visibility, and reduce those crossing widths for pedestrians. There will also be new pedestrian crossings at different points on these maps, and you can see to the left and to the right of the map the typical sections to kind of get a sense of what that will look like. And construction is anticipated to start in 2026 for this project. So along the same corridors, just moving south on Tampa and Florida Avenue are very similar types of improvements, upgrading drainage, resurfacing, pedestrian improvements, and likewise updating some pedestrian crossings on the maps. And you can get a sense of what those facilities will look like with either on-street parking or a separated bike lane. So some really great investment happening on this important corridor. And I guess the only other thing I'll add on these is there's been excellent communication between FDOT and Heart. as these corridors are also envisioned to eventually have bus rapid transit. So the investments made today will also support that BRT project whenever that is able to come online. I'll segue to the next category of projects, which are capacity projects. The first one is I-275 from Howard Avenue to north of Hillsborough River, so from the West Shore area to downtown. This project is envisioned to widen I-275. It is just being rolled forward. There is no change to programming, and construction is not funded. Current estimate cost to complete construction is $465 million. The next project is State Route 60 from Valrico to east of Dover in the eastern part of the county. This will widen the facility from 4 to 6 lanes, add buffered bike lanes, and then fill in sidewalk gaps where they exist. Florida Turnpike Enterprises has come before the committees and board to update on Suncoast Parkway improvements. So $3.4 million is programmed in 26 to construct, extending that northbound on-ramp from Van Dyke Road. And then the final capacity project is the I-4 eastbound auxiliary lane from 15th Street to west of 26. And the change happening in the TIP is adding $19 million largely for construction for this auxiliary lane. So this funding will build that auxiliary lane, construct retaining walls, and install new LED lighting. This project is part of the overall implementation of the downtown interchange. So it's from about 15th Street to 26. So this more eastern edge of the project. Now segue to safety projects. These three are railroad crossings throughout East Tampa, Eastern Hillsborough County, and Plant City, all essentially updating those crossings with signs, flashing lights, and gates to ensure that there aren't any conflicts with trains. There is a project on Fowler from Nebraska to about 50th Street to have different safety and operational treatments. That will include widening the sidewalks along Fowler, implementing intersection improvements, and then adding mid-block crossings. DOT also intends to replace or repair a sidewalk at Florida and Hannah Avenue. And then final safety project are the improvements along Bush Boulevard. This project has $24 million programmed for PE right-of-way construction, and it's been a longstanding priority of the TPO board. So this is just an image of some of the things that DOT has planned. You can see at the corner of Bush and Oakleaf Lane that a rectangular rapid flashing beacon will be installed to support pedestrian safety, have some raised medians, a new traffic signal, and also reduce the speed limit on Bush Boulevard to 35 miles per hour. So this is a really exciting project and important one to enhance safety along Bush Boulevard. A variety of planning projects going on. Part one, a few years ago, won a trans-oriented development grant. So they are currently working with the city of Tampa and the planning commission to do some area study in the Sulphur Springs area to eventually support that Florida Avenue BRT corridor. Hillsborough County won a discretionary grant to study 11 bridges and unincorporated. So that must roll forward so they can continue that work. And then finally, Hart won a route planning restoration discretionary grant. So they're going to use those resources to update their transit development plan that they intend to update in the next year or two. There are a few signalization projects. Hillsborough County won a discretionary grant to apply ITS improvements along 40 miles of arterial streets. That is being kicked off now, and they'll have different hardware and software integrated on those miles. And then finally, a new signal that has actually already been installed. So this project is pretty much closed for all intents and purposes at 22nd Avenue and Solomon Expressway. I'm almost done. This is just the various projects, different drainage, culvert, avian capacity projects that must be rolled forward because, of course, the DOT work program is well timed. There are funds for a new aggregate facility in Plant City, as well as a work project to expand the Eastport Honda Port. So that was a lot. Happy to take any specific questions on any of these projects, but the action before you today is consider recommending to the TPO board to approve the roll forward amendment.
All right, Elizabeth, thank you. In the room, questions and comments? Anybody on the left side? No, right side?
Right here.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about the $5 million CAC, the Castor grant and the discretionary grant. Is there a limit for the time use of those grants, or do they roll forward in perpetuity? Like, so you have to use this $2 million in 5 years, or what happens?
It's a great question. Typically, you have to use those federal grants within 5 years, or they essentially expire. So I think that clock started a couple years ago, but parents actively drawing down on those funds.
So for those, and that's why I was wondering, do we know how many times they've been rolled? So are we at like year 3, year 2?
I'm thinking for that one, we're probably at year 2.
Okay.
And I could go back to the project manager and ask like how much of that 5 million has already been expended.
I was just, yes, no,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, and for the record, that question came from Ivia Adams. And I'm going to ask, if you're going to ask a question, speak, do whatever, would you identify yourself for the record before you verbalize? To make things easier, certainly for me. Appreciate it. Any more hands up here on the right? Dustin?
Dustin Johnson. So great presentation. Just got a question. We're trying to understand with the safety projects that involve the tree, railroad crossing and so forth. Is there any funding that the railroad is actually for those projects? I know this is kind of rolling over. And how much was that total? How much total has the TPO added into this? Because I just feel like it's kind of like we're subsidizing the railroad for probably something they should be actually doing to benefits them more than really does us.
No, nothing's wrong with top of my mind. We could go back to the project manager. I do know that there are specific programs that address railroad crossings where the tracks need like a road. So there are funds already set aside for that, but I'll go back with DOT and ask the project manager what types of improvements CSX or whatever rail entity does for their facilities and promoting safety, because I'm sure they do, I just don't know.
Dustin, you good? Yeah. Any other questions here to the right of the room? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so
You
I have-
identify, please.
A Yassine, appointed by the city of Temple Terrace. And first I want to say thank you for the great presentation. It was really nice. It was really like informative. I appreciate that. I have a question about 2 projects that you mentioned. The first one is about the Tampa, Florida project. And there's really close coordination between FDOT and HART. My question is the city of Tampa a third person, like a third entity in this coordination, especially if they are already looking at a PD&E for the streetcar extension in the same route? So I was just wondering if that's a new thing that's going on as well.
Absolutely, that's a great point. I should have explicitly called out the city of Tampa. I know the city works really closely with DOT on these projects. I didn't mention it, but part of this was going after a federal grant that they won a few years ago because of that close coordination. So I know there's been some back and forth, particularly on the drainage for this facility. So yeah, DOT and the city are in lockstep.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that they're not duplicating the work, especially like if it's a study, because if the city of Tampa already is hiring, potentially giving an NTP to the consultant for the streetcar extension. And HART is looking at expanding a bus rapid transit. It will just be in the same street, the same stretch. It will be like duplicating work and not really getting as much for everyone else. Okay, so I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the room. And then the second thing is about the Fowler Avenue project from Nebraska to 50th. Is this the section that was going to have a designated bus? Did they finish? I know they had the PD. Did they finish the PD and that's what's moving forward? Like, are they doing the designated bus lanes?
So you're exactly right. The preferred alternative that was selected for this project included the bat lane, but given that HART was not ready to put that service out, essentially this project is taking all the other components, the safety, the crosswalks, the intersections, and advancing those until HART is ready to commit to having BRT service along Fowler. So to directly answer your question, they will not be building that bat lane, but the door is left open to reevaluate the PD&E once HART's ready.
Final question, I was a little confused. One of the planning projects was like a HART project in partnership with the city of Tampa. It was one of the planning ones. The transit-oriented development. So I know one of the questions was, when does the grant, how many times does it keep rolling forward? And when this was awarded, I think the role, like the money actually, like the clock starts when the grant agreement is signed. So I'm not sure where it's at.
I'm very happy to report that has been executed and those funds have been obligated, so there's no risk for them lapsing past that 5-year mark.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Actually, I have a question.
I'll second. I know we have other questions in the room, but before we go for another round in the room, is there anybody with a question online?
Is there anyone online with a question? If you could raise your hand or put it in the chat or unmute yourself. I think Chris Vella.
Yeah, I just want to confirm, part of this amendment includes a roll forward on the I-275. It seemed like from, I guess, West Shore to Howard. I just wanted, I saw a glimpse of it and I just couldn't read it all the way.
It's Howard to Hillsborough.
Yes, that project is being rolled forward. There's only 11,000 programmed for PE, right of way and construction are not programmed.
And it's from Howard to Hillsborough River.
Okay, yeah, I see that now. And my other question is, right now, we don't know if that's going to be tolled or not, right?
We do not know, and it's our understanding that when DOT is ready to is considering that decision, that they'll come to the TPO board.
Okay, copy. Thank you.
Anybody else online?
I don't see anyone else online with their hand raised.
Okay, so we're back now, round two in the room. Anybody, Joe Citro had a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Joseph Citro for the record. Going back to the Florida Tampa Street, I see the projects there, but we know that anything could change with those patterns. It just seems that from north of Palm on Florida, the sidewalks are 4.5 to 7 feet, where south of Palm, they look to be 16 to 7 feet. If we're going to have density and transportation, wouldn't it be more advantageous for us to have wider sidewalks going up and down all the way up and down Florida Avenue as a major mass transit, public transit corridor? I know that you're just the messenger, but I just thought I would throw that out there. If we're going to invest the time and money and plan for the money to be spent, why don't we do that now before we actually get the rapid bus and or rail and or streetcar up and down there? Can those plans change? These plans aren't set in stone.
Well, I believe this project is going to be starting construction next year, so I think the plans are probably done.
Can they be changed per our request?
State your name for the record, please.
FDOT, Suzanne Ziegler. I would have to check. I think that there's been a lot of coordination, but I'm not sure what phase we're at. I don't think we've signed and sealed, but we can always take those comments back and it might be something that we looked at and we might be able to address.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm just thinking ahead to our grandchildren. We're going to start making plans now. One, go big or go home. Just my thought. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
That,
Hold on. Wait,
I just want the other page.
There's, want to see something? I'm trying to recognize somebody over here. What did you have?
Just the same project, just if you can go to, that says the phases.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, oh, okay. All right.
Was that it?
Yeah, that was.
Okay. Andrew, please identify, please.
Andrew Marquetti, appointed by Port Tampa Bay. On the same, along the same lines on Tampa and Florida, what kind of consideration was there given the expansion that was recently approved on I-275? You would think that would further collect traffic along that corridor to look to redesign and change the current design on the Tampa and Florida Ave project, potentially one that's not two one-way roads, instead to two-way roads, or removal of an additional lane instead of two, or instead of two rather. Again, given the fact that this was a recently approved project on I-275, I would think that that could potentially be a more approachable corridor for, the neighborhood, given that people that are further north can then, presumably be taking an expanded I-275.
My understanding was that many of these initial discussions happened around the COVID timeframes in 2020. I know modeling went into that and considerations of that part of 275 near downtown that's been widened. And I believe those conversations I think have happened, and this project has progressed to the point where it's going to be constructed next year. So I can go back and talk to staff and see if there were any proposals that were discussed, but I believe that these projects, since given the travel corridor, there's definitely a nexus there.
Sure. Was there any consideration around making those two-lane roads instead of two one-lane roads? And I say that because honestly, I think as we all know, traveling one lane, those turn into highways in their own right. We're expanding a highway directly to the east. So, I would think that would be able to make that, pull traffic off of those corridors and make that more pedestrian friendly, slower traffic speeds. 3 one-way lanes is just going to be another highway. And I get that we're making some improvements with bike and otherwise, but I think to some of the earlier points, that expanded sidewalk, a more dedicated bike lane would be a large improvement. 6 lanes, 3 one way, 3 another way. It's just, you might as well just tack those on to 275 as to what goes north and south, in my opinion.
Any more questions here to the left of the room? Anything else here to the right? Ed?
Yeah, I just echo Joe's concern. When I look at this, 4-foot sidewalk. You can't have 2 people pass by each other on a 4-foot sidewalk. And that's concerning for sure.
And a telephone pole.
Yeah. Certainly can't take a stroller or walk your dog along that.
Well, remember, we do have the opportunity to make motions and recommendations. So when we get to that part of the discussion, anybody that wants to make a motion appropriate to some of these conversations, we can pick them up then. Just make note, don't forget. Yes, ma'am.
So Elizabeth, can you go back to the funding for that project, please? So it seems that all of them are design. None of them is is there construction?
The 2 are for construction. The 32 million for like the -8, most of that is construction. Just a little bit to update, any engineering or permitting that needs to go on. The -3 doesn't have a construction program, and I can't remember off the top of my head.
Are they planning to do a design build?
No.
So how much is for design and how much is for construction? Because the reason I'm asking this question is because the committee has a lot of questions about the design that is proposed and the typical section that they're showing. If we can approve just the design and have a say on what the typical section would be, and if we have any recommendations, then we can just only approve the design funds and wait for the construction to come back for later until we're satisfied with the design that they're proposing. If not, and if it's going to be a design build, then maybe we shouldn't approve it until we see our recommendations in what they're planning to do for this project. I'm also concerned that the streetcar is not considered while the city of Tampa is studying the streetcar extension on these roads. So why are these not on there yet?
Elizabeth, is there any comment to that comment? That really wasn't a question, it was a statement. If you have anything you want to add.
The question was, what is the breakdown for design and construction of each segment? If possible.
I can report to you for the -2, $15.5 million is for PE, and less than 100,000, or sorry, 15.5 million for construction, and like 100,000 for PE. So the vast majority is to move to construction next year. The same for the batching, the lion's share of that is construction funding. Like Suzanne said, we can get with the project manager and understand if the plans have been signed and sealed. But it is fairly late in the process. And I guess the only other thing I would add from a tip perspective, I think that these projects would technically be considered past the point of no return because PE has already been largely.
Okay, any questions from the online family?
Anyone online? I've seen no one online wishing to speak.
I have one, maybe two questions. I'm gonna take you back to Florida and Tampa Street. And in particular, the comment having to do with collaboration, cooperation, whatever the term was you used between FDOT and HART and presumably the city of Tampa. That relationship has not been without some tumult in the past. And HART has not always been fully embracing the idea of BRT. So kind of curious, could you or maybe the DOT rep bring us up to speed on how that relationship has evolved over the last year or two? Because as I say, it was dysfunctional for a time. If it got functional again, I don't know when it happened. I'd like to kind of understand when they kissed and made up and what they promised to do after the kissing. So go ahead.
So I can just speak from what I've observed from Elizabeth's perspective. Justin Willett, you may know, the previous planning manager for HART, was in lockstep with DOT as they were doing the design, through the electronic review process and all of that. Since Justin has left, Heather Shobush has joined HART, and I know they meet regularly with the city of Tampa. So from an outsider, my perspective, it seems like a healthy relationship, and they're trying to build that. They are building that coordination between.
Sure, sorry to interrupt. Sarah Kiefer, your liaison, I'll just add to what Elizabeth was saying is we have a monthly meeting that includes the TPO, HART, FDOT, the city of Tampa, and the Planning Commission. And all of those entities regularly participate in that meeting. So there is frequent communication, I would say, that is usually positive and constructive. We don't know what other conversations there might be, but we are a part of those ourselves every month, and they're usually a very good conversation.
And in addition to that meeting, I know HART, the city of Tampa, not just mobility, but the development service, the planning side also meet again. So there is, I think, healthy dialogue happening.
Okay, and is the bus rapid transit service that's being envisioned here, does it include a dedicated lane for the BRT, or is the bus simply going to be mingling in with normal traffic?
So that BRT project is still in the planning phase. What is eventually envisioned is for it to be in its own lane, but HART is not there right now. It's currently just Route 1, which is great service. So the BRT project hasn't advanced enough, but my understanding is HART has been working with DOT to make some curb improvements for future station areas to help them once they are ready to have BRT on Florida Tampa. So it's setting up the corridor a bit, but there will not be back lanes with the construction of this project.
Any other questions or comments here in the room?
What's the width of right of way that would be?
That's
required?
Andrew.
Andrew Marquetti with
Andrew.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, thank you. Wait to be recognized, please. Go ahead.
What's the width of right of way that would be presumably required for bus lane?
I think just probably just 10 feet. I don't know, Sarah, do you have other
I'd
thoughts?
say usually, Sarah, Or usually buses want a little more than 10 feet because of their mirrors. So they usually, I can't speak for Hart, but I have worked as a transit planner before, and usually you want something closer to 11, maybe even 12 if you have a bus. So it's possible and less. It depends on the vehicle and what's next to it.
Okay.
And
I think with that, I just, if we take a lane that's 10, you got a bike lane, 4-foot sidewalk, you, particularly in number 3 that we're looking at on Florida Avenue, you're running out of space. So just offer the improvements and they look great, but some of that collaboration, I think it's important before we spend a lot of money and then check the box and move on to something else. That I think is really critical for the heights.
Okay, any other questions? Again, left side of the room, my left, right side? Yes, ma'am.
Ivia Adams, one question on that same thing again is, who was the original person who requested that?
So I believe it was a joint application effort from FDOT going after a discretionary grant a few years ago, but Hart and the city were supportive of that.
Sorry, Suzanne Ziegler, FDOC. I just wanted to kind of jump on that. So the Tampa Heights Mobility Corridor Study was a partnership with the city, the neighborhood, and us. And then we brought in Hart, they're not ready. And so that's kind of how all of this came together. And then we have secured the funding for the construction through a grant through FHWA. So we've brought them in and they've reviewed everything, and that's why it's taken a little bit longer to get the construction going. So we've had public meetings, we've had outreach. I believe we've it was a number of years ago because it takes a while for planning, design and construction to get underway. But we have thought through this process. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to take it back to the project manager, see what we can get addressed.
Yeah, if I might, the Tampa Heights Mobility Project goes back, I still had hair when that started. And I'm almost not kidding. Been going on a long time. And there were a lot of promises, a lot of visioning that was going on in the community meetings. There was a lot more to this project than we thought was going to happen. The reality now is far, far less than what we had been told was going to be done because of budgetary concerns. At least that's what we've been told. Everything costs a whole heck of a lot more, and there just was no money to do what they said they were going to do.
yes.
Some of those types of changes might have been part of what Andrew is talking about, for instance, not the two-laning that or the two-way. That was never really part. It was part of the discussion, but I don't think it ever got very much further than talking about it. But there were a lot of things about these corridors that were going to be improved that aren't being improved now. As I understand it, it's mostly a drainage kind of issue now more than anything
There were a
else.
lot of drainage issues that were not made, we were not made aware of, and so we had to kind of backscale things. So like Rick said, it is a budgetary thing because, we were talking about this before, and things cost a lot less. And then fast forward to now, like, the 4-foot sidewalk, like, I would love to say we can put a 6-foot sidewalk out there or a 7-foot, but like, we also have to take into accountability, like, what was that land? What utilities are under it, because we would have to move the utilities, which is another costly thing. So, I believe this study has a website as well.
Yeah.
With all the information, so I can send that to the, Elizabeth and Sarah, if you guys want to look at it, if you still have questions, or if you have questions and you want us to, check back in with the project manager, see where we're at, we're happy to do that as well.
Okay, Ed.
Yeah, I would just mention, looking back, I think collectively, the people of Hillsborough County voted this transportation tax that would have given bundles of money to Hart and would have allowed them to, to have some dramatic improvements in service, including much more frequent service in these corridors. But since, that the whammy got put on that, we lost that money. Now we're going to be lucky if Hart continues to survive. So It's a pretty grim prospect right now.
Chris Gonzalez? No, Chris Vella. Oh, sorry. Chris Vella, you're recognized.
Yeah, so I have a question. I know that the TPO has an NDA with Brightline right now. However, there's been some discussion of a downtown location being one of the options. I guess my question is there any chance we're going to find out about that so then the public can make an informed decision about these tip amendments, and particularly like what's occurring on Tampa and Florida Avenue?
This is Sarah Keeper. The TPO does not have an NDA with Brightline. And we.
Okay,
haven't-
it is reported on the newspaper that you all have an NDA. So just to clear up that fact, I think Tampa Bay Business Journal might have said that. You don't have an NDA, so you guys have no knowledge at all where the station would go. Is that correct?
So we do not have an NDA. We've had some conversations with Brightline. We don't have a definitive station location, but we've been coordinating with them on our Brightline station area study. And hopefully we'll have something from Brightline in the near future, but I couldn't say when or what that will look like.
Okay, understood. Realize that this Brightline project would greatly help the Hart BRT project locally. So if there's any way that you can push them to get that information up front, I think then the public can make an informed decision.
Noted.
Anybody else online?
Anyone else online? Nope.
All right. Have we exhausted comments and questions in the room? We exhausted comments and questions online?
It appears so.
Okay, I have a recommended action slide up here. Recommend the TPO board approve the roll forward amendments to the 26 through 30 tip. Is there an enabling motion or anything else? Maya?
Motion.
Okay.
To approve.
Yassine moves to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Steve Hollenkamp seconds. Is there discussion on the motion? I see no discussion on the motion in the room. Is there discussion online?
Anyone online?
Okay. Is there anybody online that has the right to vote today?
No, everyone who can vote is in the room at the present time.
Okay, and does this vote require
I don't know the second.
does it require a voice vote or acclamation? That's voice vote or roll call vote?
It can be done by voice, but you're welcome to do roll call if you prefer.
All right. Let's do an acclamation vote and see where that goes. All in favor of the motion, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
I picked up one nay, but just to be on the safe side, let's go ahead and do the roll, please. Yes.
We're just friends. I'm gonna rejoin here, Sarah. It looks like it's trying to. Give it a second, thank you. Rick, you said yes. Stephen Hollenkamp?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Dustin?
Yes.
Idea?
Yes.
Beth?
Yes.
Carson?
Motion passes. Thank you very much. Brings us to the next action item. Public participation plan update 2025. Ms. McGee, how are you?
Good, how are you?
All right.
Okay, I think the people online are back with them. We'll give it a try and. I'm not sharing on the screen. We'll try to reshare it. Just a moment.
Feel like maybe it's hot, but it's warm in there.
Okay, we should be ready to go and it'll be up in just a second.
Right. Can the folks online hear us now? Anybody want to show some sign of life?
Yes,
Yes, sir, we can.
Yes.
yes.
Okay,
They're here.
all right. Click on link. Now-
Yes,
now-
I hear you now.
Cool, now mute yourself. Okay, just so you understand, since the computer froze up on us, we have been absolutely quiet, almost as freeze framed. So you've missed absolutely nothing. We're picking up where technology failed us right on the moment. Ms. McGee, you're on.
Good evening. My name is Harmony McGee. I'm the Community Relations Coordinator for the TPO. And today I'll be presenting the PPP as an action item. You all received it last month as a status report, so I won't spend too much time on the slides. I'll just briefly go over it again just as a review. So again, about what the PPP is, it is our set of standards and procedures for how we do public engagement. It coincides with the measures of effectiveness report, which was received by you all in March. And it's updated every 2 to 3 years and was last updated in 2022. So the PPP changes that we're proposing included standardizing public notice times, printed media, the TPO priority list public meeting, addressing the recommendations that were made in the MOE and the public participation box. So first, for standardizing public notice times, we have standardized the public notice times to at least 10 days prior to the board meeting, and that is for the LRTP adoption, LRTP amendments, and the TIP adoption, as well as the TPO priority list. For printed media, we are proposing that we revise the PPP to allow staff discretion in using printed media rather than requiring newspaper ads. And this again comes after a study that we conducted during the Transportation Improvement Program's public engagement, where we used unique QR codes to track the engagement. For the TPO priority list, the TPO has now implemented the practice of presenting the TIP and the TPO priority list as separate items. Due to this change, we will no longer require that the TPO priority list be approved at a public hearing. And we have also set a 15-day review period for the TPO priority list to give community members time to review the document. This is majorly due to confusion that often comes up between the TIP and the TPO priority list. We're wanting to be able to separate them in two different meetings to help reduce the confusion in those discussions. Slides are progressing. Now we'll address the MOE recommendations. So just as a refresher of what those were, they were for ADA compliant surveys, the sign postings for the TIP, standardizing meeting postponements, combating survey fatigue, expanding our presence on YouTube, and evaluating the committee process. So for our first MOE recommendation, it was to make our surveys more ADA compliant. The PPP has now identified SurveyMonkey and Survey123 as the two platforms that we'll use moving forward, and this is in replacement of what we were using previously, which was MetroQuest. Our next recommendation is for road signs. We are proposing that we revise the PPP to allow staff discretion in utilizing road signs, and this is similar to the printed media. We conducted a QR code study to track the amount of engagement and cost per scan on the road signs. For postponing meetings, we have set a 4 calendar day window to make the decision to either cancel or postpone a meeting, and this would be at the discretion of the TPO director in consultation with the committee liaison. This is especially important during situations like where we are now in hurricane season, to give committee members ample time to prepare and have an expectation for participation. The other MOE recommendations are addressed by the public engagement toolbox, which is outlined in Appendix C of the PPP. So an example of something that might be in the public engagement toolbox would be focus groups, which can be used in replace of a survey to address survey fatigue, or Instagram reels and shorts can be used to address expanding our online presence. The public engagement toolbox simply gives staff the flexibility to cater our public engagement efforts to the unique needs and concerns of each study. So now I will share the feedback that we've received from the committees as well as the TPO on the feedback on the PPP has been received from the Technical Advisory Committee, Intelligent Transportation Systems Committee, Livable Roadways Committee, the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and the Transportation Disadvantage Coordinating Board. The Livable Roadways Committee, Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and the Transportation Disadvantage Coordinating Board reviewed the plan as an action item and recommended that the TPO board approve it. Regarding signage, some members recommended maintaining and enhancing its use with larger formats and short links for those who prefer not to use QR codes. Others supported giving staff flexibility to determine when roadside signs are the most effective tool, provided that clear standards are established for when and where they're used. For both printed media and signage, some members emphasize that evaluation should consider factors beyond return on investment, while others prioritize cost effectiveness across all engagement methods. When discussing alternatives to newspaper advertisements, mailing-based outreach emerged as the most popular approach, with suggestions including utility bill inserts, driver's license renewal inserts, and postcards. Additional ideas include placing materials in doctors' offices, community centers, pharmacies, and convenience stores, as well as creating an opt-in text messaging system to send alerts. Geofencing was also mentioned as an idea that could be explored as it allows for outreach within defined areas and provides measurable engagement metrics. Questions were raised regarding whether these proposed changes would conflict with Title VI requirements. TPO staff has confirmed that they would not. The TPO board also received this item as a status report. Many were in support of the overall recommendations and supported giving staff discretion to be strategic with how and when engagement methods are utilized. There were some concerns regarding recommended changes to the printed media and road signs, with board members advising staff to ensure a comprehensive approach is taken when considering how to best reach the community. So today's recommended action is to recommend the TPO board approve the public participation plan.
Okay, thank you. Questions, comments, left side of the room, any hands? See nothing on the left, anything on the right? Shy bunch for this, okay,
We did hear it last month.
we did.
Yeah.
I wasn't
You
here,
were not here, and you weren't the only one not here.
okay, well, I feel somehow put,
Pulling you out.
I feel somewhat put upon in the moment, but okay. Anybody online with any questions on or comments?
Anyone online? No one online.
Okay, well, we have an ask slide, recommended action, which I can't read. Recommend the TPO board approve the public participation plan update. Is there an enabling motion? I see an enabling motion, I'm sorry, identify.
I know.
Okay. I have a motion. Is there a second?
I say.
Dustin Johnson seconds. Is there a discussion on the motion? See no discussion on the motion. Is there any discussion online?
Anyone online? Nope.
All right, can we try acclamation again? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Okay, let's count that as unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We are now to item C under action items. This is the Plant City Sun Trail Connection Study. Ben Gordon. Not Ben Gordon?
Yeah, it's not shared.
You want some wafers?
Sure. Supplement had a nicer offer. Thank you. What do I do with this?
Good one to me.
Oh, okay, yeah, they're split down. Okay, there are 3 of them in here. All right. Didn't know how to navigate them. There you go.
Wasn't there a commercial about like take a break, like have a wafer?
Probably, yeah.
Like,
Kit Kat.
was it a Kit Kat? Okay.
He thought this was the Kit Kat.
No, but kind of like, when you want to
You're breaking them.
take a break.
Actually, pretty good.
Yeah.
There was. It was like everybody else was
Average, like. That's all we found at the vending machine.
Okay, good evening, CAC. I'm Ben Gordon, EPS staff, and I'm here just to provide an update on the Plant City Sun Trail Connection Study, which we've been working on since January with our partners at Atkins Realis. And I'm going to begin by going through the study's background, our scope, our timeline, the results of our feasibility analysis, some route recommendations, and then the immediate steps that we'll be taking to potentially implement. So just for some background, you may know the Florida Shared Use Non-Motorized Sun Trail Network is a statewide multi-use trail system, and it's focused on connecting major cities, smaller communities, and natural attractions. And it's also known as the Florida Greenways and Trails System Priorities from the perspective of the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. Now, the Sun Trail program funds the planning, design, and construction of those trails that are part of the statewide Sun Trail network. And again, it's facilitated by the Florida Department of Transportation and the Department of Environmental Protection. So, under immediate conditions, the Plant City doesn't have any trails within that statewide network just yet. And so they don't have any trails that are eligible for Sun Trail funding yet. And this study is working to resolve that issue by examining potential trail connections to the statewide network. We had 5 basic steps, beginning by identifying Sun Trail connection locations to existing and future Plant City trails, looking into potential alignments for the Sun Trail connection locations, analyzing the feasibility of those alignments, and then summarizing findings just to provide some recommendations. And I meant to share actually. So we had our kickoff meeting in January. The data collection and alternatives identification were finished in March. And then in mid-March through April, we had a public survey. We conducted our second stakeholder meeting in May, and we began drafting the final report in April through mid-August. And we're now considering running it by all of the, we're now just running it by all the advisory committees with the TPO. And the final consideration by the TPO board will be on September 10th. So our feasibility analysis worked through an evaluation matrix. We worked on 6 potential alternatives. You'll see that we have a west option 1, which would be north of I-4 along Sam Allen Road and heading towards the Old Fort King trail to the west. And then we had a west option 2, south of I-4, headed towards the Tampa Bypass Canal Trail. And that was along US 92. A north option along SR 39 to the north, and then a fairly short east option also along US 92 headed towards Lakeland and the Fort Fraser Trail, which is planned to go through Lakeland and Polk County. For our feasibility analysis, we looked into trail atmosphere, so just what the surrounding area of the trail was like, adjacent roadways, trail setting, buildability, just the feasibility of implementing it, different right-of-way constraints, barriers to construction, connections such as its proximity to basic destinations like schools, parks, and libraries, the public's preference since we circulated that survey in March through April, previous planning, whether it was in prior studies, and then just the environmental impacts. For example, was it in a flood zone, a wetland, or Florida impaired waters? Now, don't worry, I will not read every cell block of this table out for you all, but I'll leave it up for a minute and we will summarize in a moment. So, we ranked all the different alignments, some of them on a scale from 1 to 5, others were a little bit more binary, but you'll see counted whether there was an adjacent roadway setting, For example, parks and hospitals and connections. Okay, I'll share the next one. And we can go back to this once we finish the presentation. But the total scores that we had were 45 for West Option 1. That one came in with the highest rating. West Option 2 at 43, and then East Option at 40 total. So just here are the results that we had by category. You'll see that West Option 1 did well in atmosphere, buildability, connections, and public preference. It was the second highest rated in the survey. It received an intermediate score in terms of its involvement in previous planning and a bit of a low score in environmental impacts. And again, this is the westward option along Sam Allen Road. West Option 2 received a relatively low score on trail atmosphere, just because it's along 92, but a high score in buildability and connections, medium in public preference, and then also medium in involvement in planning and environmental impacts. And then our eastward option was low in the trail atmosphere, high in buildability, low in the connections as well, but high in public preference. It scored #1, the eastward option along 92 towards Lake City. And sort of in the middle in previous planning and also very well on environmental impacts. So working from there, we narrowed our options down to a few recommended routes and began looking into potential implementation steps. Our primary Sun Trail connection recommendations were first for West Option 1. We just found that it was best aligned with Sun Trail applications and funding. It has very rural scenic character. Again, this is the northward not northward, but the option north of I-4 along Sam Allen. It's pretty quiet. It's minimal sort of conflicts with vehicles. It has a very good potential for separated routes, separated trails. And then the West Option 2 is sort of our secondary potential central connection. It has an urban edge, commuter type characteristic. It does have a lot of existing infrastructure going for it. We'll get into that into a bit. There's strong connectivity already, good potential just for retrofitting existing sidewalks and infrastructure there into a multi-use trail. And we're not overlooking the east and north options either, though. There are other potential funding sources that we're going to look into those. But the east option is sort of suburban and rural since it's headed towards Lakeland, east on 92. It does offer a good direct connection to Lakeland trails, and it had the highest public support again. And then north option 1 has the benefit of drawing on another planned canal trail, the Plant City Canal Connector Trail in Plant City. And it's also along a designated US bike route in SR 39. And so that would be a sort of scenic northern spine. But these two definitely align closely with the Sun Trail program as well. So this was our final alignment for West Option 1. It's 15 miles long, the lower. It's an east-west route north of I-4. It's the most shaded and scenic route. It has high public support, uses the Canal Connector Trail as well. And it's included in the Hillsborough Trails Master Plan. This is what it looks like right now. Second. Okay. And this is just a conceptual rendering of what it might look like. Here's option 2 again, a little bit shorter, 14.2 miles long. It's east-west, south by 4. Again, good potential to retrofit existing infrastructure. It's high connectivity, commuter focused, and this could be funded not just through the Sun Trail program, but there's also potential for it to be included in program widening projects that FDOT already has in the works. Here's what it looks like at the moment. And this is very unique. I've never seen two sidewalks side by side like this before. But Right, he is just putting them together, beautiful multi-use trail. Then our longest alignment, again, is the northward connection. It's 17.3 miles long, headed towards Zephyr Hills specifically. And again, this one also draws on the Plant City Canal Connector Trail, and it's currently included as a US bike route, as I said. Here's what it looks like at the moment. Surprise, surprise. Okay, and again, just to zoom in one more time on our eastward alignment. This one is the shortest by far, just 4 miles long. It's a good regional connection. And it's already listed as an opportunity trail in the Florida Greenways and Trails system. It has the highest public support. And again, a lot of potential to involve it in program widening projects that are already in the works with Florida Department of Transportation. Now, we came up with some generalized cost estimates. These are based on FDOT's own estimates. The highest one came in at 16.9 million for the north option. Yeah, then 14.7 for west option 1. Pretty similar for west option 2. And then just because the east option is so short, that one came in at 3. So as for steps towards implementation, we definitely want to work on integrating it as one of the Florida Greenways and Trails systems priority and opportunity network. We were thinking there we may try to get both the eastward alignment and the westward alignment along 92 on that map as a primary route. Just work on both of those as a package, but we're still looking into all of this. The Hillsborough Greenways and Trails Master Plan is another local countywide plan that we want to get these integrated into. And then, of course, just Hillsborough TPO's list of priority projects. We could also pursue funding from the community investment tax in Hillsborough County, as well as, again, FDOT road widening, just project coordination beyond just some funding. And then we will also conduct outreach, partnership, and promotion efforts, like coordinating with agencies to clarify their roles on this, prioritization and support. And we will just continue to work closely with local boards, like you, like the Liverpool Roadways Committee, and the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, just to keep raising awareness and support across all of the TPS advisory committees. So you want your input. And so we are now headed towards just the final TPO review. It's the draft of the final report is already up on our website for you all to view. I think you all should have access in your package, but right, it's just headed to the TPO board for just that final potential approval next week. And our immediate recommended action would be to recommend that the board approve this study. But do I have any questions first?
You've been paying attention. Very good. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate that. And in fact, do we have any questions? Sir, this is your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say something. Stephen Hollenkamp. I don't have a question. I recommend everybody to support this. I like how it was done. I'll give just like a little bit of context for those that don't know Plant City. You know, the way that I think my circle kind of thinks about this, in case you guys find that interesting. But yeah, we're Plant City. So there's 3 options. We can go towards Tampa. We can go towards Lakeland. We can go north towards like Zephyr Hills. But so the way we kind of, think about it, sort of the north option is something we really like because there's this preserve up there. So it's really pretty, nice path, like recreational, something that I would do with my wife. And the other 2 options are more for like workers, more for like just actually getting people that need to get closer towards Tampa, closer towards Lakeland, towards County Line Road. There's a lot of stuff going on there. And so, yeah, overall, I support the spine, just connecting Plant City more to Lakeland and Tampa. I think that'll get, in reality, way more used, regardless of how many people took part in the survey. But I just think that's the one workers you'll actually use and need. And you could get the east and the west. Then you kind of connect Lakeland to Tampa too. And you could do both for the cost of this north spine. So yeah, that's just some, context from Plant City perspective. These all go right by my house. So I'm excited for something, whatever gets done here. Yeah.
All right.
But thank you.
Thank you for that input. Mr. Citro.
I like this and I want to write it when it goes in, but my question is there going to be any connectivity? How can I, a bike rider from South Tampa, go to this trail and park my car so that I can ride this? Is there going to be any connectivity in that manner?
I need to review that. There's still either.
Okay. Then my last question is, you said non-motorized. Is that fossil fuel or does that include e-bikes, e-scooters and e-unicycles?
Absolutely. I believe that under Florida state law, the e-bikes and e-scooters are treated very similarly to just ordinary bicycles. So you can definitely ride an e-bike on it. And yes, there is definitely potential for wider connectivity. It feels like the South Coast Greenway, the time in Tampa as well. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sir. Chris?
Hi, Chris Gonzalez. I like this study. I too live in Plant City and I know West option one had like better score, but I think for the people who live along 92, I think it would be a huge disservice if it wasn't West option two. Every time I take 92, there's always pedestrians, there's always bicyclists. I think it would have a lot of great use. There's schools, there's the downtown Plant City, Strawberry Festival. I think there's a lot of opportunity for that route to be used versus something like West option one, maybe more of like a joy ride sort of trail there. But I really like West option.
Any other questions or comments to the left of the room? Right side, yes, ma'am.
Ivy Adams. I like this plan as well, as everyone said. I do have a question that keeps on coming up. It's very similar because I used to have to drive through here for work. So when the study was created, the individuals that helped make the matrix scores, like you guys were talking about, were they workers? Were they like, who actually made it with the engineering firm? Like, who did they tap in to make those matrices with?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. So for the actual matrix scoring, which then facilitated which one that you chose, who did you use to say it's going to be this? I think that it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So it came up before, like, as someone who likes nature, maybe they are someone who wants to ride their bikes versus a worker who may say, well, I want to get from this place to this place.
Right. I don't know the specific staff members who assigned if the ranking was on buildability in particular. It would have been, go ahead, Tim.
Sorry, to add to this, so the scoring part of it would have been done by the consultant firm, and Ben can correct me if I misspeak, but it got reviewed by the TPO staff and the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, which is composed of citizens and professionals who work in our community in bicycle pedestrian space, all had an opportunity to review and comment on them. So while it was done by staff, it was vetted at multiple levels.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you both. Thank you.
Yeah, you good?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Questions here? I see.
Thank you for your presentation. I have 2 questions or comments. The first one, I may have missed. Have you identified the trailhead locations on these trails or not yet?
I don't.
Looks like a trailhead.
Yeah,
like
it's
the,
definitely.
so there isn't like any stops or specific like parks or something where like someone can stop and just relax for a little bit, have a drink of water.
It's very conceptual at the moment. We're just focused on just getting these lines, the most basic alignments out.
My second question is about what are the next steps after after this study is approved? Are you guys gonna seek the Sun Trail funds through DOT? But are you guys going to recommend like recommendation number one will be, that west option one, forgot the name of it. Like, are you guys going to seek funding based on the recommendations in the study? So like the first one will be the option one, west option one will be the one that you guys are gonna fund first. And then west option two, and then like, or is the funding going to be requested the same in this order, or?
I don't think it's really a chronological ranking per se. I think that those rankings are specifically for Suntrail funding. So our immediate priority for preparing Suntrail applications will be for West options one and possibly two and the East option combined. These two along with 92. But we're still going to look for funding from FDOT as well, or not from FDOT, but we're still going to look into that collaboration with FDOT around the road widening things.
I think to add to that, the first step for us is getting these established, because until they're established, we can't seek funding, whether it's through Sun Trails or another opportunity that comes up. So the first step is saying we have a plan and we have cost estimates and we know that this is received buy-in. And from here, we can then look at central applications and we can look at fitting because we want to apply for the best fit. And so it might depend on what opportunities are available, if it's a lower or high cost grant opportunity, and also what our partners would like to do at the city of Plant City and others, what they're willing to seek as well.
Okay, my last question is why did you guys call it a Sun Trail study? When you could just call it the Trail Connection Study? Like if you're not specifically hoping that this is only gonna be covered by Sun Trail funds. So why constrain yourself to only one type of fund when you can just call it Trail, the Plant City Trail Connective Network or something, you know?
I would say that the Central program wants localities to be doing their own local funding as well to a certain extent. So we just need to be looking into wider ranges of funding beyond Sun Trail from the beginning. But I do think that the study began with a focus on central funding, and it still has that. But as we just looked into which trails matched best, we just naturally, of course, looked into other ways that they could be built as well. It's just not mutually exclusive.
Dustin, you had a question?
Thank you.
I was just gonna say, why can't we recommend to change this to basically say, make the west option, including the east option, combine it under one project called the Plant City Sun Trail Interconnection. I mean, because it sounds like this isn't, whatever we do tonight isn't really gonna settle anything, because from what Sarah just said, we still have to get buy-in from local Plant City leadership, citizens out there. So they can, basically, I don't know, really change this thing up. Where I think it's, hey, it's come from the TPO board. TPO board's recommended here the options to go with. Do you approve it or not approve it? And then you can seek out that funding, because that funding would basically be based upon what you guys have already estimated. It's coming within less than $17 million. So.
I don't think there was a question there, but clearly there was a comment. Is there a response?
As a committee, you're just welcome to make any recommendations.
That'd be my recommendation.
Chris Vella, is that what you're telling me? Chris Vella online, you recognize?
Yeah, it's a really great presentation. It's actually one of the finest I've seen in a TPO, so good job. My question is, I guess I'm just trying to figure out how to fund this thing. And I know this is a big step backwards, but was there ever an attempt to actually do a trail on CSX?
I know that idea has been floated in the past. I think it's a complicated subject, but I don't believe that was one of the alternatives on this study. I can't remember. I don't think it ever was.
Okay. All right. I was just wondering because of rail bonds and potentially Brightline, just trying to fund all that money together. So, okay. Well, thank you.
Any other questions online?
Anyone else online? Nope.
Can I get the recommendation slide back up again?
Yes.
Now, recommended action. Recommend to the TPO board, or recommend that the TPO board approve the Plant City Sun Trail Connection Study. That is the recommended action. Is there an enabling motion or some other motion to be considered?
I motion we approve the Sun Trail Connection Study based off of west option number 2 with east option, my recommendation.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second? Carson, I'm sorry. Carson Bush. All right, Carson Bush has a second. Is there discussion on the motion? I have a question. Is that even feasible? I don't know.
Go ahead, ask away.
That's the question. Is it feasible?
Oh, yeah, recommending it. I want to make sure that I understand the sort of amendment that you proposed, right?
That'd be good. So,
That you're suggesting that we emphasize connectivity between west option 2 and the east option along 92, right?
Yeah, combine both of them together and make it just one single project across the board.
could you put the slide back up so I can at least visualize what that is?
Okay, here you go. So this is the east option and this is west option 2. And they are interconnected. They're both on 92, so.
If I could clarify, it sounds like the motion is to combine them into one project or one project with 2 parts recognizing that connection.
Combine them into one project. And that be the Sun Trail Study.
Like a preferred alternative. Is that what you're writing?
No, it's combining both under one project. That would be the Sun Trail Study that we're approving for tonight.
Okay, so
Because basically what we're saying is we're approving the study that was done that throws out 4 different options out there, correct?
Yes.
There still has to be funding procured for this.
Yes.
So whatever is decided on, I mean, somebody could come out and be like, well, we don't want to be cheapo, so we're gonna go with the east connection only. That's only gonna cost us, less than $4 million. Well, I mean, is what Mr. Joseph Citro said earlier tonight. Let's go big or go home.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So then I'm clear then, Dustin, your motion would connect west option 2 with the east option into one project.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. All right. Good. Am I just leaving that up there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now that we visualized it, are there any questions or comments on the motion? Ed?
I'm just curious if that would affect the probable ultimate funding of this. I mean, isn't it likely that this would be done in stages with project 1 and then project 2? And if you combine them together, it becomes a bigger project, which might be more of a bite out of the apple. I'm just asking that as a question. I don't know.
I should probably emphasize that however this map looks after it study is approved by the board, I don't think it's going to just bind us into applying in one single way. That you still have to work with jurisdictions with Plant City on the Sun Trail application, for example. So, for example, if the study is approved with a map like this, it's just getting the lines on the map. It's just the first step. It doesn't prohibit an application to the Sun Trail program for just a one big route along 92, for example.
Any other questions or comments, Stephen?
We're just discussing the motion still. I'll just say I like where your head's at, Dustin. I like where your heart's at, and go big, go home. I like that. I think with this project, I prefer to just approve the study as is. I think the 4 options all have merit. These studies, like we're still reviewing the ones we did in 2020 and 2017. We're trying to just get everybody on the same page on like a vision. And this is just another study with no funding immediately in sight. The north spine to Zephyr Hills in that park, that may look real nice in another 4 years. And so I like that one too, even though I have a preference too, and I like your preference. If we got to pick today, I think I'd say, yeah, let's lock that in. But I also like consistency and just sort of, I support the study. I think it was done right. And there's a lot of different perspectives. And so, yeah, so I would vote against your motion to hopefully then try to just approve the original motion or the original recommendation.
Justin?
So, I mean, they can keep the study, right? Because you're gonna go and you're gonna buy for money and you don't know what you're gonna get. But at least you know what your options are. At least you're trying to buy for that whole project and the whole. And if it comes back to, no, we can't fund that, well, then, that's where negotiations comes in. Well, then let's see if we can get this amount. Let's see if we can get this amount. So then slowly but surely, you're basically reducing your options out of this study on what you're gonna be able to get. But if you take the project, okay, and combine it into one and use that as your initial negotiating piece, you never know. You'd end up winning the lottery on it.
Yeah.
So, grants are usually a reimbursable program, right? Where the agency or the local agency or the entity who's building it have to have the money upfront, build it, and then get reimbursed as they build it. So I think having the project as a major project with the big length that Dustin is recommending might actually deter the city of Plant City and the city of Plant City to apply for a grant because they cannot upfront all this money and show the feds that they have that money upfront. Or also, and there's no negotiation with the federal highway unless they just get rejected and they have to apply the year after. So that's actually wasting or not saving us time or allowing us to negotiate, but we're actually making us delayed. So I think that our heart is definitely in the right place by wanting to have this project, by wanting to have this study approved and the project continuous and the connection continuous. But I think it just also combining all these options together might put us at a disadvantage. So if you would consider that, I have another idea that maybe after guys.
Yes. Well, we have a motion, we have discussion going on, and thank you for that input. Yes, sir?
I think as I see and understand it, the motion is simply to approve the study with the recommendation of by recommending the possibility of combining West option 2 and the East option for one option, but it's just recommending that possibility to the later people who will see the study and work on it and develop it later and ask for funding, right?
Like the possibility.
I think, Dustin, was that a reasonable summary of what you're?
Yes.
I mean, we've got two options up here. He wants to connect them together. That's all. I mean, without getting too much more in the weeds on it. Stephen?
Yeah, well, I'd love to hear what Suzanne Ziegler has to say, but I just, if it's sort of maybe just the phrasing is more like, yeah, we approve the study and we have a preference of these two combined. So I do like, West 2 more than West 1. And so, yeah, just sort of a preference of these four tied in, as opposed to choosing 2 and rejecting 2. That's a small thing, but yeah, then that's sort of, kind of meet in the middle.
Well, we have a motion on the floor now that needs to be litigated and voted on. So do you have something else?
Well, I was just gonna add on to this, the purpose of the TPO is planning for future transit and so forth, right? And it seems from my experience around here that there is really no future planning. And this actually sets us onto that plan moving forward. I mean, doesn't it, hey, this is what, moving forward, if we're gonna go in this area, if we're gonna go these routes, here's what would be the recommended plan moving forward. That's all I have to say.
Does FDOT have something to add?
Yes, they do, and I think this will be helpful for the group to understand the funding piece of it.
So Suzanne Ziegler, FDOT, obviously not part of the committee, just wanted to let you guys know I am one of the Sun Trail coordinators. Sun Trail coordinators for D7. So, first off, the fact that you guys are this passionate about this is amazing, because we don't see this every day, about stuff like this. But the only thing that I would say is Stephen is thinking, really, we just need the approval of the study, and then they're gonna come back to you and figure out, what do you guys want to prioritize, just like the other projects. My thing is that those pots of money that you would be seeking for these projects, are not that big. So when you apply for something, if you added the east and the west, that's a huge ask, like way more than Upper Tampa Bay Trail to finish that, more than Tampa Bypass Canal, other trails that we already have going on. And we're currently working with Plant City because, as what I was saying, these are usually implemented by the local agency. However, City of Plant City does not have that kind of staff. So when they apply for these, they're applying for the department to design and construct these on their behalf. So we've been actively working with them on this. And so it might just be easier to come back at a later date with a recommendation, what you would want to see move forward. And then work with the TPO about how much money would, money wise, because that's a lot. And then this is just informational. I just wanted to, to make the best effort, like we have these small pots, and I'm actively looking to fund the stuff that we already have on the network, so.
Cool, well, can't you start planning and proposing small portions? So, I mean, we approve the study, okay? We understand what the desired end state is of the project. All right, then from there, you split that project up into multiple phases, and that's what you start requesting the funding for, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Because it obviously seems like no matter what we do with this, okay, any of these projects probably aren't gonna get the funding just because of, it sounds like it's a small pot. But if you start picking away little by little, I think eventually we complete the whole project overall, and it gets funded.
Maybe I
don't understand the way government
Well,
works.
no, and it's not that. I just wanna, so the way that the Sun Trail and the transportation alternative projects go, we're funding in the new 5th year. So when I come back in probably October and I give the list of the projects that we were moving forward with, a lot of those are gonna be in fiscal year 31. So
So then this fits in with my, we're planning for the 2050 long-range transportation plan in essence. Or am I wrong on that?
how long does it take, Sarah, to get a planning project to construction? I just want to be clear because it's like, I don't want.
These can take. They can be shorter, they can be long. So my previous role, I was one of the applicants for Sun Trail funding. And I worked with Suzanne. And often projects like this do eventually get divided in phases. That's very common, so that there's smaller bites that can be addressed. A lot of it will come down to how this does when it's compared to other projects seeking applications, and also how motivated the local government is to assist in funding it, or the funding partnership, because it's usually a partnership. They could happen in the next decade, depending on how funded Sun Trail programs are funded in the next decade, or it could be much longer, and that really depends on how much is set aside for Sun Trail funding.
Okay, we need to bring this in for a landing, so I'll take one more.
Real quick question. Anything that we do tonight will it prevent any gaps that may occur in what the motion is presented now? Say like we say, okay, well, let's go ahead and put this forward, but then 2 or 3 years down the line, now we're gonna have gaps in the trail. Is what we're going to do tonight going to prevent that from happening?
I don't think that this, can you explain the gaps you're referring to?
What I believe Mr. Johnson was proposing, we just do the east-west and combine the two. Now, if we're looking at doing study on everything, if somewhere along the line, a portion of that, option A, 1A and option 1B, those might not get funded, those might not be put into plans. So to me, that's a gap in between the system. Could that happen if we don't make the right decision tonight?
Yeah.
You leave your crystal ball at home?
Yeah. I'm just asking for a hypothetical yes or no. That's all.
I think all of that depends on how the project gets funded. And if it's funded in phases or not, and how long they take to be funded.
I'm also afraid to ask this question, but anybody online have something?
Anyone online?
That narrows down my vote.
There's no one online.
Okay.
Speak right now.
All right, we have a motion that was advanced by Dustin Johnson, seconded, I believe, by, who seconded this thing? Carson, okay. Carson Bush, we've had discussion. I think this is going to require a roll call vote. Everybody understand the motion? Does it need to be restated?
I'd appreciate
Okay,
it.
Dustin, restate your motion, please.
The motion is to approve the Sun Study Trail with the emphasis that it integrates option west, 2, and option east into one combined project.
Okay. All right. Everybody understood?
You just go to the chart with the funding amounts for each of the estimated costs.
Yeah, read the roll, please.
Rick,
No.
Stephen,
No,
Joe Citro,
Yes.
wait. We're not going to be able to re-vote this. This is the original motion.
This is the original motion. If it passes, we're done.
If it doesn't pass, then we can still take another motion
Come
or?
back to the next one. Yeah, we move again.
Wait.
Yeah.
Can I see the call?
Okay, stop.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Stop.
Yeah.
We have a motion on the floor that's been seconded, all right? That motion is to combine, well, it was to combine those two sections.
The motion is to approve the Sun Coast Study with the emphasis that you combine west option 2 and east option into one single project.
Great. So if that motion passes, we're done on this item. If it doesn't pass, we then take motions again.
Okay.
All right,
Sorry.
go ahead. You want to start over on the, no.
Stephen,
No.
Joe,
Yes.
Aya,
No.
Andrew,
No.
Ed,
No.
Chris,
No.
Dustin,
Yes.
Idea,
No.
Cliff,
Oh,
Carson,
Yes.
motion fails.
Okay, I have 8 noes and 3 yeses. Is that your count?
3 yeses and 1. 8 noes, yes.
Okay, to put it another way, yes. Okay,
Correct.
motion fails. Any next motion?
Motion to approve the study with, just changing the name instead of calling it the Sun Trail. Can we go back to the motion, please? Yeah. We can just call it the Plant City Trail Connection Study. No? Okay.
Well, that's the motion. Is that your
Yes.
motion?
Yes, that's
Stand
my
by it. Is there a second?
The trail connections.
So all we did was get rid of Sun Trail, Plant City Trail.
Sun. The word sun.
Okay, yeah, Plant City Trail Connection Study. So we're setting the sun. All right. There's a motion. Is there a second? I see no second. It fails for lack of a second. Is there another motion? Mr. Hollenkamp.
I recommend we approve, as stated, approve the study. What's this here?
You recommend?
Recommend the TPO board approve the Plant City Trail Connection Study. Yeah, I motion to approve as stated.
So the motion is to recommend the TPO board approve the Plant City Sun Trail Connection Study as indicated in the AS slide and in your agenda package. All right. Is there a second?
Second.
I have seen seconds. Is there discussion on the motion? See nothing in the room. Is there anything online?
Anyone online? Nope.
All right, let's try acclamation. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, call that unanimous. Thank you.
No, oh, no, we have, Dustin opposed.
Oh, Dustin opposed?
Yes.
Okay, roll call, please.
Roll call. Rick,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Maya,
Yeah.
Andrew,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Dustin,
No.
Idea,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Person.
Yes.
Okay.
10-1.
Yes.
10-1, motion passes. Okay. Ben, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeoman's work. Okay, that concludes our action items. We're into status reports, and we're 3 minutes from the witching hour. Took a little longer than we wanted. Are we able to do what we need to do in fairly short order? All righty,
Like 3 minutes.
Speedy Lori. All right.
3 minutes. Try to be quick.
Well, we don't necessarily have to do 3
Information
minutes,
is
but
information.
yeah, okay.
Good evening. I'm Lori Kent. I'm with the Florida Department of Transportation. I'm District 7 SIS Coordinator. And I'm here just to kind of go over and give you a quick overview on a plan that we're working on now called the 2050 Multimodal Unfunded Needs Plan. This plan is to identify transportation needs for our SIS facilities throughout District 7. These are projects that are unconstrained by cost. They're not yet included in any of our other plans, like the work program, the second 5 years, or the cost feasible. We are looking at long-term transportation priorities. It's also, keep in mind that any project can be identified as a need, does not necessarily guarantee any receiving of funding or even an endorsement. Also, quick note, normally we do the cost feasible plan first, or the unfunded needs first, and then the cost feasible plan, because we move them up. Unfortunately, with COVID, we had started this process in 2020. Everything got delayed, and when they were over with, central office decided that instead of doing unfunded needs, we need to do cost feasible. So we kind of did them backwards. So just wanted to let you know that's what we did. The timeline, we kicked off back in December. We're bringing you the first draft, which should be in front of you. That's only the highway. It is not the multimodal. That has not been completed yet. It also does not have cost on there because that has not been completed. This is literally our first pull of any projects. So we will be coming back to you once they get the draft plan and get the maps and everything done. So we will be moving forward with it. Just know that the MPOs and the TPOs, they do play a key role in this. We pull actually a lot of the information. Normally we work together on the LRTPs with the unfunded needs because, like I said, this got flipped around. We did pull most of the information came from the LRTPs themselves. So this is in coordination with that. So we also are working with transportation authorities, local governments,
and any other modal transportation partners involved in this.
It does have a lag.
No, I know, but it's kind of from up here too. Just so you know.
Okay.
It's like, I went down and it's gone and it's not changing. Yeah. There, so where do the potential needs to come from? This is, will tell you, this comes from, like I said, the LRTPs, traffic modeling, which we're still working on that as well. Level of service analysis, and also modal master plans for aviation, freight, rail, seaports, spaceports, and transit. Like I said before, they are going to be mapping this so that we'll have a better visual. Individual district maps and tables happening, and regional profiles will happen, and along with an executive summary with high-level overview to identify needs by district and by mode. Our final review and adoption, like I said, we will be coming back and presenting the final before it goes actually to our executive board. So after the NPOs, TPOs, district staffs, and CIS staff conduct a review, it will then go to senior management for approval. And then once adopted, the plan serves as a guiding document for future planning considerations. So some of the key takeaways is the multimodal unfunded needs plan is essential for shaping our long-term transportation strategy. It also is to align with the NPOs and the TPOs for regional priorities to make sure that we align with them. Our next steps are going to involve ongoing coordination, updates, and again, presentation for the next planning cycle. So you should have a copy of the draft for the highway projects in front of you. We wanted to make sure that you at least had something to see what we're looking at. If you have any questions, be happy to try to do something.
It's the paper, and we also put it in the online folder once we received it.
Dustin?
Yeah, so I got a question right here. So I'm seeing that you have a proposal for widening Dale Mabry Highway at the McNeil Airport Base gate entrance. How is that tied into a CIS priority? Because, I mean, I'm trying to figure something out here. I'm trying to figure out if that's just done, so you widen the roads, push more people down Dale Mabry to get into the base. So that way, those who have the money and power can shut down other access ways into the base because they're tired of, I don't know, people driving in front of the phones.
The Dale Mabry section from Gandy to the gate is considered CIS because it's a military access and it's a connector. So again, this is long range. We've already done a lot of projects out there. If they're just looking to see if it's something that's going to be needed because of level of service, because of the traffic, you're right, it's traffic.
Then if that's the case, then why aren't we looking at putting the ferry back in from Apollo Beach over to the base? I mean, to me, that's more, military, would take a lot of people off the roads trying to get in from South Hillsborough County into the base than anything else.
The ferry is not on the CIS. And again, just related facilities.
I mean, everything can be now designated sit over a
If it
military
meets the criteria,
priority.
yes.
If anybody coming out of South Hillsborough County, heading over to the base, is gonna take any road feasible, to there.
Other questions? In the room? Questions online?
No one online with a question.
That's a quick process question. Is this item on the TPO board's agenda for tomorrow or for next week?
I think it's up to.
The TPO board does have it as a status report at their September 10th meeting.
So, next week. So there's no action there at their end either.
They're gonna get the exact same presentation you did that.
Well, the longer version.
Probably the longer version.
So anybody in this room that's interested in hearing the longer version could hear it at the TPO board meeting, just sign on and
You have the
listen to it.
presentation, so.
Okay, and would this come back to us again as an action item at some point in the future, or is this the last time we get to weigh
No,
that?
no, you'll get another, once we get the final draft and we get the maps, we'll bring it back and I believe there should be, I believe there's a motion on it at that point.
Yeah.
And to make sure that there's buy-in with the MPO and TPOs, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. I don't have anything else. Anybody have any other? Joe?
No, not on this.
Okay, anybody else here? No? All right, that moves us to unfinished business. Next CAC meeting is October the 1st at 6 PM. All right. Member interest, Joe, you have something?
Thank you, yes. There's a couple things that are coming up that have really stirred my interest, if I may, Mr. Chair, and I'll keep it brief. Proposed transfer of heart. And the proposed tri-county MPO mergers. It doesn't have to be at length. It doesn't have to be, total all the way through, but can we just get a report at every meeting where those proposals stand, how they have progressed, if they have progressed, if they haven't progressed, the ideas and thoughts behind them. Again, just a 3 to 5 minute overview. Because in my opinion, these are two very important things, and I want to be prepared for when and if these things happen. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I don't disagree. I guess that legitimately comes under member interest.
It does, if it is the interest of the CZ as a whole, since it's not part of your prioritized one, you certainly could direct me that you'd like to prioritize that over the other items. I will do my best to get an update for you if that's the interest of the board at every meeting. We might not have something, especially for the one at the state level, but we can certainly do our best to provide you an item if you give me the direction that that's the priority over the other items.
Chair and members, it doesn't have to be in depth. If nothing comes up, report, nothing happened. If something slightly happens, then just a short overview.
Just let us know there's a pulse.
Correct. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Maybe supplement the agenda with any materials that have been published in the interim, newspaper articles or anything else that might be relevant to that. But I don't know that I'm necessarily in the position to direct you to do anything absent a motion by the committee. But personally, I'd like to see real-time updates on that. So
Sure, I guess I'd ask,
do you need something else from us to make you do it?
I just ask if anyone has concerns with this getting prioritized over your other items. Hearing none, I'll take that as guidance.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. So you're guided. All right, anything else? Yes, sir.
Andrew Marchetti. Curious, I know there's a lot of conversation or implementation of referred to as road diets around the city and county. Here's where those stand, updates and status on implementation of those. Depends on an upcoming hearing that we can hear about or meeting about.
Sure, and for your benefit, we have been collecting, and all the other new members have been collecting these items, and unless something rises where I get guidance or direction to prioritize it above everything, we have a list of about 20 to 30 items for the CEC members, and we ask you to prioritize them. So we're putting it on the list, and then we'll come to you to prioritize those periodically. So it's on the list.
Okay.
And you could theoretically at least schedule office hours to sit with staff and talk about this stuff outside of the meeting context.
Yeah, any CEC member is welcome to schedule office hours to learn more about any of your interest items.
Okay, I would love to do that. I know that we're talking a lot about different transportation, long-term planning. We have comprehensive plan that's, underway as well. I think that that's an important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Definitely, and I would offer to any CAC member at any time, if you have a question, you can email me, you can set up office hours, you could do both, and I will do my best to get what I can to you.
Okay, any other member interest issue? Any member interest online? Nope. Okay, next line item on this agenda is adjournment. Anybody have an objection to that line item? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh. 8:09.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed.
Bye, sir.
Fun times.